question we are asking tonight. Has Kenya adequately feted its heroes? Talk to us on 22422 Twitter using the hashtag. The big question. Our guest tonight, Wanyiri Kihoro, is the chair, Kenya Independence, also an advocate, also of course known as one of the heroes of the second liberation. Thank you so much for making time for the big question tonight. We were expecting here Dr. Mzalendo Kibunjia, who's a director in the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Arts. It would have been very important for them to be here, of course, tonight, just to balance this all out. But some key information here you should know. Mashujaa Day celebrations comes 1.5 years since the enactment of the Act, that is the Heroes Act, Kenya Heroes Act, which should be significant, of course, in creating the legal framework through which all concerns of heroes and heroines can be addressed. What are some of the things the Act says? For example, a person shall be considered a hero if they contribute positively and sacrificed for Kenya in the following fields: liberation struggle, spiritual leadership, we have indigenous knowledge, arts, cultural values and practices. We also have sportsmanship, scholarship, professionalism and research, peacemaking. We have statesmanship, entrepreneurship and industry, philanthropy, and of course other special achievements. Such people should also possess some characters, including, we can say them all: patriotism, selflessness, vision, integrity, commitment, and others. But the Act also provides, very important here, for the creation of the National Heroes Council to manage affairs of the heroes and heroines, including identifying and keeping a register of heroes and heroines. And among the benefits I should receive are financial assistance from the Heroes Fund, access to healthcare services, shelter, free education of their dependents and general welfare, invitations to national and community functions as state guests. They should also be awarded medals, and of course have streets, institutions, and other institutions mainly, and monuments in their names. Now that is why I'm saying it is very important to have had the government today here. Dr. Mzalendo Kibunjia said he would come, but he hasn't showed up yet. Great initiatives, of course, but some would say, just on paper, this Act enacted on 29th April 2014, this is the second Mashujaa Day since. Do you think we have seen any of this?
We haven't seen much, and it has been a long time, a long road to the enactment of the Kenya Heroes Act. And it came, that is 51 years after independence. And we are late in terms of recognizing our heroes. And our heroes go to before independence and then after independence. And that is why we have been a bit lost. And then I find also, even after the Act has come into force, now it is another 1.5 years before any action is taken. And I think it is an indictment on the part of the government, why you want to have an act that is ineffectual, that is not implemented, and there is such a demand for us to recognize our heroes. Many are dying every day, and we should not wait for death to be the answer to the plight of the Mashujaas in this country.
Right, so what do you think should be done?
I think immediately we should recognize the heroes in this country who fought for independence. That is a very important class of heroes in this country. And I believe that is why even we have ended up with the Heroes Act. It is not really the immediate where we want to name people as heroes. It is the past that dictates that we name the heroes in this country who fought for independence, people who have been very important in terms of production, in terms of agriculture, in terms of industry, people whom we should recognize. I've heard you have talked about certain categorization. That is important, but I think we start with the independence period and then come into 51 years of independence.
Right, but some have already been recognized in independence, isn't it? And today, I mean, you also have to give it to the government. Like today, 100 people have been recognized. You can say they haven't been doing much of that.
Yeah, some have been. I looked at the list and I have found it very difficult, Hussein, to recognize many of them. Who has basically decided on these people being heroes? They are not the people who have actually even fought for this act to come into force. There has been a long struggle in our country for independence and for maintaining democracy in this country and opening society in this country, and that is what I recognize to be a basis on which you can have heroes. It is not people who go and work in the dark rooms, people who support certain people, and from there we can do a list. And I've heard there are so many benefits that you follow. There are very many benefits, including money, and that is not what is important here. It is work for your country.
But you can't say all these people who have been feted do not deserve to be feted.
I haven't recognized any I haven't seen the list properly.
Right.
But I believe we should have done like a pre-independence. There are people who are alive.
But we also have heroes today.
That is good.
I'm not taking anything away from people who at the pre-independence period. They deserve
that is good. There's urgency in that, Hussein. There's urgency in pre-independence heroes because now they're 85, 90-year-old. I've seen some people now even are calling themselves heroes who fought for independence and they're only 50, 60. They have become fraudulent about it. But I think people like Kemati, nobody will quarrel about that one. People like Oneko, nobody will quarrel about that one. People from the coast. And we need somebody with a view of Kenya. Not people who are going to falsify or introduce forgery into this process of naming people to be heroes. Because heroes must be accepted by everybody because of their contribution to the Kenyan society.
There should be a council to do that. That you agree with, that should be fine.
That is fine.
But what you're saying then is that the urgency should be with pre-independence because of the age factor.
Yeah, that is very important. We start pre-independence and coming into independence. We can wait another 5 years, 10 years ourselves.
Right.
But for some of the independence heroes, even some, basically, I've looked at the Act, and one of the aspects that is very important is to recognize heroes who fought for independence. They might have passed on, but there are people who should be given honor today. We have a day, Mashujaa Day, when we can all say Kimathi and other freedom fighters. People have seen something about Koitarel. We start with the fight for independence in this country. Even if it is 100 years ago, why don't you want to name Koitarel Arap Samoei as a hero in this country? So that our children, when they go to school, they learn about the act of Koitarel, 1905, fighting somebody called Menai Sagan. That is very important. Right. So that we give heart to our people about what they are, and they have got a long history, and then we have a direction.
Right. Of course, like I said earlier, it would be very important to have the government side here tonight. There would a lot of questions actually point towards the government and this act and why it does not. We haven't seen a lot since its enactment over 1.5 years ago. But the final question here, some would say sometimes this thing is personal. Like you say, I have not seen heroes. That is you as a person. Maybe they are heroes to other people in this country, not you specifically. How far can we go in recognizing heroes? I mean, it could be so many people. How far can we go? We have pre-independence, we have after independence now.
They should recognize and they should answer. Any hero must recognize to a certain description. Somebody who cannot answer to a common denominator about a hero. Because if you say that so-and-so, somebody fought Idi Amin 1974 when Amin was murdered to invade Kenya, and you stood at the border and said you won't cross like somebody on Livata, I would understand that. But if you say somebody worked in somebody's office and could have his name put on a list, and we don't even know that name. You see what was saying, I can take you back, 2009, about the TJRC process. TJRC process was a process where we could have been able now to identify the heroes. And that was an opportunity lost 6 years ago. We could have been able to list all those people before independence, and then after independence, during the TJRC process. That was an opportunity wasted, and heroes in this country, they transcend every geography in this country, every hill and every valley in this country, and that is what we want. A common denominator that will not raise another dispute in this country about people being named to be heroes when they are not, and nobody even can.
So if the government process moves faster, you're good to go with it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
And you're prepared to help the government. That is why we are here.
Right.
But we should not, like myself now, being told how the people have been named as heroes. I have always been willing myself. I've been in it. I've been in your house. I'm a hero in production. I'm an advocate. That is why we are here. Let it not be a public service job, a civil service job. It should be open-minded. The council, I've seen the criteria. There are people who come from diverse parts of our society. From athletics, they will come from culture, they will come from every sector. Let us have that council in place so that they can say, you don't answer to the description of a hero in this country.
Right, and we hope that process moves a bit faster. And like I said tonight, we wish the government side would be here. Wanyeri Kihoro, Chair, Kenya Independence, also an advocate among the heroes of the second liberation. Thank you so much for making time for the big question tonight. Keep talking to us on 22422 on Twitter using the hashtag The Big Question. We'll be back with the trends with Wahiga Mora after this break.